Number 18. Navigation in animals is defined as the animal's ability to find itself from unfamiliar territory to points familiar to the animal but beyond the immediate range of the animal's senses. So they're saying, hey, when animals navigate, they go from somewhere unfamiliar to them to somewhere familiar to them, and they can't sense the range of where they're going. Some naturalists claim that polar bears can navigate over considerable distances. As evidence, they cite an instance of a polar bear that returned to its home territory after being released over 500 kilometers away. So, which one of the following, if true, casts the most doubt on the validity of the evidence offered in support of the naturalist's claim? So, let's see. The evidence here is that the polar bear returned to its home territory, so it returned home. So that fulfills this condition, right? That it has to be familiar. It's going back home, so it knows where it's going. The next evidence is that it was released over 500 kilometers away. So we don't know whether that was unfamiliar territory, but for this conclusion, for this example to be navigation, this has to be unfamiliar territory, right? Where the polar bear started from. Okay, and then let's see, beyond the immediate range of the animal's senses, I would say that's being met, right? Because it was like 300 miles away. That seems beyond their senses. So really, all we need to know is that this is unfamiliar territory where the polar bear started to support this. But we're actually trying to cast doubt on this claim, right? So we're trying to say, hey, maybe this was familiar territory, right? Maybe the bear did know where it was traveling from and to. So let's see. A, the polar bear stopped and changed course several times as it moved toward its home territory. So that doesn't really tell us whether it was familiar or unfamiliar territory, like where the bear started from. So A is not really helping us as an answer choice. B, the site at which the polar bear was released was on the bear's annual migration route. Okay, well that's telling us, hey, the bear was put somewhere where the bear was released, where the bear started. That was the bear's annual migration route, meaning it travels that route every single year. So that basically tells us, hey, that's a familiar route, right? This bear has been here before. This bear travels this route every single year. So that casts a lot of doubt on the validity of the evidence, right? The evidence says it was released over 500 kilometers away, but if it travels that route every single year, it's no longer unfamiliar territory, right? It's not starting from unfamiliar territory anymore. So B would be a great way to cast doubt on the validity of the evidence. But let's look at C, D, and E still. C, the route along which the polar bear traveled consisted primarily of snow and drifting ice. Well, that doesn't tell us whether it started at a familiar or unfamiliar location, so C is not going to be your answer. Polar bears are only one of many species of mammal whose members have been known to find their way home from considerable distances. So that's just telling us, hey, there's a lot of other species that can travel far distances to go back home. That's not telling us whether this polar bear, right, was released over 500 kilometers away. E, polar bears often rely on their extreme sensitivity to smell in order to scent out familiar territory. So this is just telling us, hey, polar bears in general, they rely on their smell to find familiar territory, but that doesn't tell us where this specific polar bear was released, whether that was a familiar or unfamiliar place. So E is also not our answer. B is our answer here.